Thank you all. And good morning and welcome to all of you. I'm Priya Dodi. I'm the Vice President for Product Marketing for IBM Z and for Linux One. And so just before I kick it off, just a short personal comment. I think I've been involved in tech my whole career. And when I first started out, I had a very interesting project volunteering with an NGO based in India that was looking at how they could take digital land records and make land records digital and give them to farmers to access credit and make their lives better. One thing I loved about that was that it was all about the promise of technology to make people's lives better. I think that's why many of you are probably here today, because you work in technology and you're here to solve your customers' problems, whether they're your internal customers or your consumers. Now, with all of that promise, though, comes challenges. And that's what I'm going to tell you a little bit about now, is what are some of the challenges you might face, and how can the IBM Z15 and Linux One really help you resolve some of those challenges? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your data, right? We've heard a little bit about data, and the key is that you've got to own your data, right? So what we have found is the average company is sharing their data with hundreds of partners, hundreds. 60% of companies have been breached by sharing data with a third party. And you see some of these statistics and headlines every single day. In fact, even here in Singapore, we recently did a survey with Harris and IBM, and we found that 3/4 or 75% of consumers would actually tell a company that they would not work with you if they feel their data is in some way at risk. So 75% of consumers are already starting to change the way that they do things because of their fear of the data being unprotected. And that's a real problem, right? Because what it means is that the data that you have in your business, whether you like it or not, it's out there and it's flowing through your ecosystem. And if you don't manage it, if you don't lock it down, somebody else is going to own your data, right? And that's not something you really want. That's really what encryption everywhere is all about, right? Encryption everywhere, you can think of it as an insurance policy. It's an insurance policy for your data. And what it lets you do is protect your data and also achieve data privacy. So data protection is about the technology. Data protection is all of the technology capability that you put into your business in order to protect all of your data. Policy, though, data privacy, is about the policy. It's about what policies are you putting in place in order to protect a specific set of data, the subset that is considered personally identifiable, right? So you put data protection together with data policy, or privacy, excuse me, and that's what we're really trying to do with encryption everywhere. So how should you think about encryption everywhere? So if you're familiar with the IBM Z14, at that time we launched something called pervasive encryption. Pervasive encryption was all about protecting the data that resided within your Z platform. Now, what we're doing is we're taking that to the next level so that you can raise your game. And so with encryption everywhere, you now have the ability to take the data that's residing on your Z, and anywhere it goes throughout your organization, whether it goes within your enterprise or even throughout the hybrid multi-cloud, you can actually protect that data wherever it resides, right? How are we doing that? We're doing that through something called data privacy passports. Data privacy passports, you can check it out. It'll be in the expo floor after the show. But it's a really cool industry-first technology. And it uses something called trusted data objects to wrap and protect your data as it moves throughout the hybrid multi-cloud, right? All of this is bringing you privacy by policy. So the way to think about it is, imagine you're working with a partner company, right? Let's say you're working with a partner company, they're a small business, they have a great development team, you're working with them on a joint application to build a new app. You're sharing data with them. Things are going great. They're giving you some innovation that you can't do elsewhere. But what happens if one day you wake up and that company that you're partnered with was acquired by your biggest competitor? What do you do now? That's the whole point of data privacy passports and encryption everywhere. Because data privacy passports would let you actually not only manage the access of the data and where it goes, but also revoke the access once it has left your platform. Which means in that situation, if your partner has been acquired, you can actually pull the data back, pull back the access to it, and manage the situation in a very positive way, right? So thinking about encryption everywhere, thinking about data privacy passports, this is what IBM Z15 and DS8900F storage are giving you. It's really end-to-end protection for data at rest, in flight, and you do that all with no application changes and no performance impact. And it's truly an industry first. So the next challenge you might be facing, and I think it's been mentioned already this morning, is how do you build with flexibility, right? Change is ever present, and as IT leaders, you actually have to manage change on multiple fronts. You've got people, process, culture, tools, capabilities, all of those things have to be flexible, they have to stretch, because your customer demands are constantly changing. So even if you just take something like people, right? There are 11 million full-time developers in the world. And that's full-time, right? There's almost double that number for part-time. But what if all 11 million could actually work with IBM Z? Wouldn't that be great, right? You'd have a lot more flexibility. That's really the best way to think about cloud native development and what we're doing there. It's all about modernizing and building. Modernizing, it's about z/OS apps and data, cloud enabling them. It's about using containers from within the z/OS and Linux on Z platforms. And it's about infused AI, which allows you to use data in an entirely new way to do in-transaction analytics with HTAP, which involves operational, transactional, and analytical data running at the same time, analytics going at the same time. All of that is what you get when you modernize. And what about building? Well, you're going to hear in a little bit about our new announcements with Red Hat OpenShift and also with IBM Cloud Paks. But all of that is about helping developers move to an open and Linux-based world where they can use industry standard tools in order to get the best of what they need to get done for your business. Okay, the last challenge is about time, right? How do you do more with less? How do you optimize so that you can save some time and then use it for innovation, right? And that's what instant recovery is all about. Instant recovery kicks in instantly across any partition or any DB2 instance, and the whole point is that it does this both for planned as well as unplanned situations. So unplanned, okay, IBM Z probably doesn't have that many issues, right? But think about planned downtime. The average IT director is spending 220 minutes per quarter on planned downtime. All of that you can manage with the instant recovery feature because you get back up and running in half the time with no increase in software costs. Now, the other piece of this, if you think about time, is your customer's time. You want to be available. And I have to tell you, we really have the ultimate in uptime with the new Z15 and DS8900F storage. And so at the time that we launched the Z14, we had 5 nines. Today, we're at 7 nines. 7 nines, which is truly something nobody else in the industry can match. So with that, I want to leave you with one more thing, which is what are some of the numbers about this new system? Why is it so awesome, right? So I've brought with me this chip, which is the microprocessor that sits within the Z15. This chip, and you can see the numbers on the screen, has 9.2 billion transistors, which means there are more transistors in this chip than there are people in the world. It has 15.6 miles of wire, makes 26.2 billion connections, and the compression on this chip, I know you can see the stat here, But let me put it like this. If they took every single book that has ever been published, that's 129 million books, and they were to compress all of them, you could compress all 129 million in 4 minutes on this chip. The system also allows 1 trillion secure web transactions a day, as well as 19 billion secured, encrypted, fully encrypted transactions. So I hope you'll agree with me. This is a really awesome system. You'll get to see it all in the expo, and I look forward to meeting many of you there this afternoon. Thank you so much.